Hi friend, it's Leslie from PlaydatesParties.com, and today I want to show you how I made these adorable train party favors. They are not your normal party favor. They are three-dimensional boxes that you can print out, cut, and assemble right at home. Now they are perfect for small treats like little chocolates or gumballs or M&Ms, and the kids absolutely love them. Now, I have two versions of this available. It's all in one file. If you have a Cricut cutting machine, I have a print and cut ready PNG file and an SVG file that you can lay on top of it to do all your cutting and scoring for you, making this really easy. But if you don't have that, then it's no problem. There's also a PDF file that you can print out, cut at home, and glue together yourself. So let's get started. So when you download the file and after you unzip the file, you are going to find these 4 documents in the unzipped folder. There is the how-to PDF, which will get you quickly back to this tutorial so you don't have to go searching. There is a PDF of all the train pieces if you don't have a Cricut. So this is what you'll use if you don't have a Cricut. And I will go through later what you need to do if you don't have a Cricut, which parts you need to cut, which parts you need to fold, and all of that. And then these last 2 documents, this here, the printable score and cut overlay, and the Cricut Ready PNG file are for anybody who has a Cricut. You can upload this into Design Space and put the overlay on top, and then your entire box will not only be cut out, so Cricut, you print through Cricut Design Space, and then load it onto your mat and add the overlay on top so that your Cricut can cut not only the outline, but also cut any of the extra cuts that need to be made, and can also do the scoring. So let's go ahead and show how to do that in Cricut Design Space. So I'm here in Cricut Design Space and I've got a new canvas, and I'm just going to go click on Upload. Then I'm going to click Upload Image, then click Browse. After you click Browse, you're going to need to get to the folder where you've got the document stored. From there, I'm going to start with the PNG print and cut file. We'll start with that. Click Open. And we're going to go with Complex. And like almost all of my print and cut files, if you look very closely here, you can see there is a corner mark. And that way you know that your file will print out at the proper size. It's also important to make sure you keep these corner marks because the cut and score overlay needs to match the same size as the print and cut file. But nothing needs to be erased. It's all ready to go. So we're going to click Continue, and I'm going to save it as a print then cut image, and you can change the name or add whatever tags you might want to add so you can find it later. Then click Save. Now before I insert anything into my design, I'm actually going to go back, click Upload Image again, click Browse again, and then this time I'm going to click on the Train Favor Box Cut and Score Overlay. Now that is an SVG file, so it's not a print then cut. So again, you can change the name, add any tags you might want to, and click Save. Then we're going to select both the Favor Box Print and Cut and the Score and Cut files, and we're going to Insert. Because the file was designed at a high resolution, Cricut always, without fail, seems to import it at a much larger size than is allowable for print then cut. But that's okay. All you're going to do is you're going to go up to here where it says size, Make sure that the lock between the width and the height is locked, that the lock is closed. See, that's what the lock looks like when it's open. And we want to make sure that it's closed so that our proportions stay correct to one another. And then you change the width to 6.75 inches. And you see, once I change the width to 6.75 inches, the height is automatically changed to within that 9.25 inches parameter. And now we know that the favor box is the appropriate size. So next we need to work with the score and cut overlay. It's hard to see in the layers over here, but I've tried to make sure that it's easy to figure out by making sure that the colors align to scoring or cutting. So in this case, if it's blue, if the color shows up as blue, then that is going to be a cut. Okay, that's going to be a cut. Now, when you click on the bottom one here, you see that the color changes to red up by line type. That is actually what we need to change to score. So click the drop down under line type and change it to score. And then we're going to line everything up. Now, if you notice, I'm dragging it over so that the score line lines up with the printed score lines on the box. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to be very close. So now you see that Cricut will go ahead and score all of those areas that you would have to have scored by hand otherwise. So it's nice and easy. You're going to print this out, and then the Cricut's going to do at least half the hard work. You've still got to assemble it. So now we're going to select everything and click Attach. And then we're going to go make it. For the favor box, I recommend that you use bright white cardstock. I do recommend other papers for other purposes, but in this case, I think white cardstock works perfectly well. Okay, so everything looks good here. I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. Now, of course, before you can cut anything, you need to send this to your printer. Make sure your printer is loaded with some nice white cardstock. I will provide a link in the file to my resources page where I have my recommendations for the papers that I actually use. And then I am going to leave the bleed on so that we don't have any accidental white areas anywhere we don't want them. And then we're going to click Print. Okay, so when you're loading your print and cut image onto your mat, you need to make sure that the design faces the same direction as it shows on the Cricut print and cut preview. So in this case, you can see that the wheels are on the left side of the paper and those show on the left side of the mat. So I'm going to make sure that I put my paper right along that same path. Now, since I'm using cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and click Light Cardstock. And I am actually going to try using the scoring stylus this time so that I can do the stylus in clamp A, the fine point blade in clamp B, and have it go all through in one pass. So you can see I've already got the fine point blade loaded up in clamp B. You see the B right there. So in clamp A right here, I'm going to add my Cricut scoring stylus. Okay, so you see we've got everything cut and scored all along the right lines, and now it's time to unload everything. If you don't have a cutting machine, you're going to cut along the outside edge and all the solid bordered lines, here and here. So those are the only cuts that aren't the outside edges. And then you'll see dotted lines. You'll see dotted lines all along here and there, all the way up. And you'll see dotted lines here and here and here, and those all show where you need to fold. But just don't fold here on any of the round dotted lines. Those are not for folding. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, once everything is cut, this is what it's going to look like. So you'll have the whole piece of train. You'll have 2 large wheels, 2 small wheels, and 2 axles. Now you may need to, if you use the Cricut, you may need to go in and snip right in the corners here. Now, what I found is it's actually easier to fold. If you see the score lines right here from the Cricut, you can see the score lines. It's easier to fold it toward the top the first time. That. This does not have a fold. Notice there is no dotted line here. It does not have a fold. That's going to be the top curved part of your train. All right, now I'm gonna flip it over and fold everything the other way. Okay, now that everything is folded, it's time to start gluing. So I'm gonna use my glue gun because it's a bit faster. When you're making a lot of these things, using something like Aleene's tacky glue would look great, but it's so time consuming, and so I'm gonna use the glue gun. I do, however, need to have a couple spots where I'm going to use school glue. This is the glue stick because that's what I have. And you could use tacky glue there too. I just ran out. So, all right, the first thing we're going to do is we're gonna fold this up, fold the main train up, and then you want to line up the top where the star is. The star is on the top. And then from the other side, you're gonna glue the other piece underneath. I'm holding here, let me just back up a little bit. Now you can see, I put these together, I line them up, and then I'm holding it together as I glue to keep everything lined up. All right, so I glued these, lined them up, but now these edges are a little long. So I'm just gonna trim off that little black bit, because I bet you that's what's going on. And same on this side. Okay, now let's try it again. Much better. See? Lines up beautifully. But we're not gonna glue this end. This end stays open. Now, this is the hardest part, right here. This right here is the hardest part of the entire box. It's not insurmountable, it's just a bit of maneuvering. So instead of using the glue gun, I'm gonna use the glue stick here, right? I'm using the glue stick instead of the glue gun because it's a bit more forgiving. So we're gonna apply it just on this tab here. I'm gonna make sure I put plenty on there. All right, and then I am going to put it under there. I'm going to reach my hand in. I'm going to reach my hand in from the back. And I'm going to push this up a little bit, and then I'm going to pinch it together. And it's that pinching that you really need. You really need it lined up. And then you just have to be patient. Once the train window is dry enough to stay in place, move on to hot gluing the flaps from the front of the train underneath the train body. Next, curve the top of the train over and hot glue the polka dot edge just above the red star. Be careful not to glue it down too far or you'll cover the star. Then, use hot glue to add the wheels to the train, using the dashed circles on the sides as guides for placing the correct size wheel at the right location. Repeat with all the remaining wheels. Finally, use a bit of school glue to attach the axles to the wheels. Your boxes are now ready to fill. Once they're filled with candy, close up the flaps and use a dab of hot glue to hold them down. So what do you think? Aren't they cute? I just love these favor boxes. We had them on display at my son's birthday party, and not only were they really cute to look at and added to the decoration, but the kids couldn't wait to get their hands on them. So I can't wait to see what you do with these and how you make them. And if you liked this tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon.